Bird on, Bears fans. We're jumping straight into this thing. Bears head coach Matt Eberflus at the table right now for the presser. So we're going to jump straight into hearing from the coach about practice today. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bears daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Bears, how Bears talk. Let's go.
That's the one that we have for you. Everything else is day to day. You know, guys that have missed practice, they're just day to day with dealing with their particular injury, and we expect those guys to be back. That's that. Then for review of practice, you know, yesterday we had a shorter practice. We thought it was good, crisp practice, and we got to be mindful of the reps this week because it's a short week. You know, we're playing, you know, a quick turnaround, which I think is good practice. It's good practice for when we play Washington during the course of the season. So we're kind of using that as that. Guys have to focus, have to be on the walkthroughs, have to be ready for that. And I just told the players today, I said, you know, we have this thing called 48-hour preparation, and that's 48 hours before the game. You start thinking about how you're going to perform. You know, the X's and O's is over. All the preparation now is mental. And we're working with those guys to create that process during these preseason games, and I think that's so important for all the players because you talk about your job on a particular play, all those things, but you set your mind up for success in the 48 hours prior to, and visualizing success, being successful in plays, doing your job the right way in execution, and then you get to a certain point where you get before the game and then you let it go. You know, sometimes it's 4 hours before the game, just kind of let things go, and now you just go play. So that's so important to be mindful of that. And this is really our first road trip together, going out to Seattle. And there's a lot of good time in there.
Bodie was good. Vern was good. Mustafa was good. Baki was good. Jay was good.
That's for coordinators, too.
Let me get them bird dimes in the chat.
You got to be on the plane, restudying the third downs, restudying 2 minute. And again, I know we're not in that part in terms of game planning like that, so to speak, right now. But it's really a good exercise for our football team to prepare for these road games. We know we got these back-to-back road games during the course of the season, so we're going to be doing those, and we got to be on it. So we're focusing on that, the preparation for that during the course of this short week going into Seattle. Now, the guys that, in terms of playing time for these guys, we plan on playing our ones. They're going to be out there, and we're going to play. And again, like I said last time, it's an individual basis, and it's a little bit shorter this time because it's a short week. So we're not going to put the stress on the bodies, but we're going to go, 6 to 10 plays, depending, a series or two, with a limited number of guys, and then other guys might get 20 plays, and we'll yank them from there. And then the young guys will get a lot of reps, and that's why if you saw the practice today, at the end of practice, it was all ones. All ones are practicing because those guys are getting limited reps in the game, and then now what we're going to do with those twos, we got them off their legs, and they only really had a half a practice today. So then we're going to work into our normal operation tomorrow, travel to Seattle, and then work from there. But I thought today was good, a lot of good situations again, put ourselves in the fringe, got a chance to work Cairo in some kicks. He operated good on those, but overall it was a good day. From there, I will open it up to questions.
You obviously know we haven't been able to talk with Roquan since he's been here. Has there been any progress made in between the two sides of just coming down the bridge?
Obviously I knew that question would come up, and really I don't have anything. All I can say is that it is where it is right now, and we're day to day. Is he in the building? Yes. Is he engaged? Yes. And the next thing I would say that when he practices, and I'm not going to say when that is, when he does, he will be made available to the media, is what I understand.
Is he traveling to Seattle?
Yes.
With all of the things that you have to oversee, how much of your day goes into checking in with him or Ryan on the situation? I'm not going to get into all that, but certainly I have conversations with all the players, and I have conversations with Ryan, multiple times during the day. So.
Does it matter to you whether there's a fracture between him and the organization, or whether he's on board? He's been at practice, and then he had that trade demand and wasn't at practice, and now he's back at practice. How much does it matter to you as a head coach and as a prospective head coach does it matter to you that he is on board, or that there might be a fracture between him and the organization?
Yeah, I would just say this with all the players: you're always working on relationships, and I know I say that a lot, but it's so important, you know. So it's with Roquan and any other player. So it's important to keep the relationship and communication open and on the table, and that's what we're trying to do day to day with all of our players.
Do you feel good about that with Roquan, the relationship with Roquan?
I do.
Matt, I think it's been a week now since he was taken off of PUP. Has there been team discipline for him refusing to practice?
Yeah, as always, we're not going to discuss team discipline. You know, so if we discipline a player or find a player, all that, we're not going to discuss that up here with the media or with the public. It's going to be in-house, internal.
Do you think it's at the point, yesterday there was the memo sent about, a person contacting other teams. Is it to the point where it's a distraction for your team?
I see the guys are focused. I see that they're ready, like I said, focused on Seattle, focused on our first road trip together, and wired in that way.
We were talking to Kyler Gordon yesterday, and he said he thinks he'll be ready to play in Thursday's game.
Yeah.
Will he be ready to go, and what are you interested to see from once he gets in a game setting?
Yeah, with Kyler, and as I think I said it before the last game, we're getting a lot of guys back. You know, so we're excited to see a lot of players that we didn't get a chance to see in the first game. You know, so this is their first performance. You know, I told the guys we're only judged by our last performance, and you know the only thing that matters is the next performance. And for those guys like Kyler, it's their first performance in front of the in the lights, and he's going back, kind of a homecoming for him. So he's really excited about it. Yeah, he's going to get his plays in. So we're excited to see where he is when he performs out there at his position.
Coach, we've been asking you kind of since the spring about the possibility of Tevin Jenkins kicking inside. Ever since Braxton Jones came in, and it didn't seem like that was the plan. When did that change, and what have you seen from him that's giving you confidence?
Do you remember what I said in the spring?
I do.
What was it?
That, we haven't talked about that. We asked you, like, who told you that? And we was like, we're just asking.
But then what I say after that, you think?
I don't know what you say.
It's better to ask the questions, boy. That's easy, isn't it? No, I think what I said, and I'll go back and look at it, but is that we're going to look at all combinations, you know, and we kicked him inside, and he's been there for a couple days, right? And he's doing a good job, and we're excited to see where he goes from this forward, and we'll see how it goes. And this is another combination that we have. We're looking at it, and we'll go from there.
Will he work with the ones in Seattle?
We'll see. You'll see when they line up. Yeah, because we're still working through all that right now. Yeah, we got time.
Someone kind of given his situation right now, though, that would go beyond the 6 to 10 plays to evaluate him at that right guard position.
Yeah, like any position, you know, if you're not, you know, an experienced guy at your position, we're going to try to get you a little bit more. And that's really at any position. We're going to try to get that. You know, those guys, you know, really don't have a limitation. You know, they might be, some guys are capped at 20, you know, and some guys don't have a limitation. They can play as much as we want them to or need them to.
He has so little football or NFL experience. I mean, even in practice. I mean, he missed last training camp and missed a lot here. Does that make it harder or easier for him to learn a new position?
I don't know. He's Tevin's smart. He's very smart, very athletic player. You know, and like, you know, one of my mentors said this, and I believe this, and he ingrained it into my mind, is that you never put a ceiling on a player. You know, so you might have, you always have to watch out that as a coach. You don't put a ceiling on him. Let him grow, okay? Let him do his thing, because some people mature and grow at different times. And all of a sudden, they just grow into a player, you know, and grow into a really good NFL player. And that's for any position. We're never going to put ceilings on guys. We're always going to think the best for every player. That's, you know, the sky's the limit for you, and we're coaching every single player on the roster that way.
Have you seen Tevin grow up just in the time you've coached him?
You know, I've gotten to know him more as a person, as a man, and we're just excited where he is. You know, and to me, he's growing just like a lot of the young players are.
The 3-game preseason is still a pretty new thing. How have you figured out kind of the mechanics of how you want to handle the dance of these 3 weeks and making sure you get out of it what you want to get out of it?
Yeah, it's a balance, you know, because, you know, you throw in these early games, and that kind of puts a little situation there in terms of the reps, and then you can't have a ramp up like you wanted to, so it's like a little bit different. But you want to see the guys. Like we said, we're going to play our guys. We need to play them because we need to see them because we have a young roster. You know, we have to see how they work with each other, how they work and perform under the lights and how they do during game day operations. So it's been good. First game was solid, and we're looking for a solid performance this time.
Expect the most extensive work in Cleveland for the starting group?
Yeah, we're still working through that. I think you got to evaluate your team every single week. So we'll evaluate. We'll get back here. We'll figure it out. And we got a couple practices, then a day off, and then we got that week leading up to Cleveland. So we'll see where we are.
Have you dealt with a short week like this in a preseason before, and the challenges that go with it? You sort of touched on it a little bit.
I don't remember.
Guys.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know this is my 14th year in the pros, so I don't remember doing this before where it was this short. It's been maybe a 6 day stack, but there are some challenges to it. But we're working through it, and it is what it is.
Question for you about Justin Fields, kind of in the big picture here. When you get in here and you're working with him, how much time did you guys spend with him looking through his film from last year and trying to correct things from that? Or was there a different approach that you guys used as far as steering him?
Yeah, I think early on we did that. Way back in the OTA time, we were doing that for sure, working on his footwork and platform and delivery and all those things. We did that really early on, but
From last season?
Yeah. Yeah. So now it's just day to day. We got plenty of reps, we got plenty of drills, we got everything we need just to work on where he is right now and keep taking those steps to progressing.
How quickly did he take, when you guys talked about what you wanted him to become going forward, how quickly did he take to that vision?
Oh, right away. Right away. He's a quick learner, and he's all in. Great listener, and he applies it to the field. So he's great that way.
And as an extension of that, how would you describe the way Luke puts demands on him, right, in a way that is constructive and productive for you guys?
Yeah, he's I think he's a really good coach in terms of challenging the guys in the room, to go through the reads the right way and teaching those guys what they are and then when to deliver the ball. And he's been great that way. And I love how the guys, you always said, model, inspire, challenge, encourage. And that's what I want from the coaches, and he does that every day.
Is that a new acronym?
No.
Is that mice?
I know you have to make some cuts. Those are technically personnel decisions, but are you a coach who likes to, sit and, I don't know, you don't like it, but is it important to you to be in those rooms, talking to the players that you actually have to let go?
Yeah, I think it's important to do that, because you're building relationships with everybody, and you're coaching everybody. So I think as out of respect to everybody, for their hard work and their attention and buying into the systems and going out there and working
Hey, Mustafa,
hard,
that's a
it's
fact.
respectful to do that.
David and Cole, a little bit out there. How?
Is that?
Montgomery and Clement.
Okay.
Do you have to weigh, what is your thought process in terms of whether it's worth playing them on a short,
Yeah, we're working through that right now for sure. But I think if guys can play, we're going to play them. I think it's because it's great work.
Is there a benefit at all if they hadn't played, if they didn't play on Saturday, because they don't have that, they're not dealing with maybe the same soreness other people are?
I think it might be, yeah. They have fresh legs for sure.
Thanks, man.
That was Coach Flus breaking down some of what the Bears have going on and preparing for their trip. It is interesting, right, heading into week 2 here, that you're talking about quickly they're turning this thing around. I don't think I've ever seen a turnaround this quick in the NFL in a preseason. A Saturday game and then right into a Thursday game. I guess you still kind of get a little bit of time with it, right? It's not terrible, but it's still a very, very quick turnaround to me. I think you heard some good things from Coach Flus there, especially about Tevin Jenkins, getting that start at right guard, how he's going to play that out, how he's going to, see if he's going to get some time with the ones this season. I think that could be, in this next game, not this season. I think that could be something that could work out for you, especially with what you saw out of Riley Reef early there, right? Just getting blown up. We got Tevin Jenkins at the podium right now. Let's go back out there to him. Y'all want to hear them, not me.
Good, feeling good.
Well,
Good to
y'all
be back
kind of
out
want to hear
there.
me.
So, feeling good, 100%, ready to roll. I don't know what the plan is yet. I'm sure that'll be discussed this afternoon to us, but whatever it is, I'll be ready for. So yeah.
You just told us if guys can play, he wants them to play. What's your mindset on getting some reps?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to play. Yeah. So I go into it playing a full game, and whatever happens, happens. That's kind of the mindset you have to go with it. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes. I mean, I'll talk to coaches later this afternoon and see kind of where their head's at with stuff. So,
Some examples of where your continuity with Justin is now at a place where you feel comfortable as opposed to the 2 years that we've well documented that we're switching all the time.
yeah, well, I mean, obviously, just continuous quarterback play is a big deal. He's been the guy I've been catching balls with now since the end of the year last year. So that's the longest stretch I've been with one guy, really. And, we're continuing to grow every day, get work after practice, things like that, and just kind of can continue to develop that feel for one another.
Is there anything recently that you can pinpoint, like a specific example where you say, okay, that's the result, that's the feel that we're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, well, just the discussions we have after practice or in between reps and how he wants to go about routes, how he, visualizes me running it and, how I visualize it, versus a certain coverage. So, we're just continuing to grow in that every day. And, you're seeing so many different looks from, our defense and, defense we'll be going against. And, those are good conversations to have.
Well, what do you look at? What are you trying to get out of a preseason game? If you're out there for 12 snaps, is it almost like being in the lab? You want to try some things out. You want to see how some of your off-season work will translate, or is it?
Yeah, I think with the preseason game, it's no secret things are pretty vanilla with what you're running and stuff. And I think it's just all about execution. Getting your points correct and being technical sound and doing all the things that the coaches want to see. So. I just think the execution aspect is probably the biggest deal. Get a play, get in the huddle, get into the ball and just executing a play. I think that's just kind of what it's for, and so that's kind of my focus going into these games.
Have you seen Justin kind of manage different players coming in and out of receivers and the injuries and kind of trying to bring guys along?
I think he's been great. You see his leadership qualities show up in that aspect. We've had a lot of, these last couple of weeks with guys being in and out. A lot of guys in different positions, and he's done a really good job of kind of, embracing every one of those guys and kind of showing them the way. So that's been really cool to see.
Well, you mentioned Ryan Griffin a couple times previously. In what ways has he been valuable to you in terms of the experience and some of the things that he can help you with?
Well, he's been around the league for a while now. He's seen quite a bit of things, and, he's a great, true Y tight end in the league. He's a big dude, much bigger than I thought he was when you watch him, on tape and things like that, and you see him in person. He's a big guy. But, just how technically sound he is, his execution and how he goes about his business every day, just a pro's pro. So that's a guy that you definitely want to model after, and, he's had success in this league.
Chase Allen has seen a lot of reps since he went out.
Yeah.
What have you kind of seen from him, not just in that stretch, but throughout camp,
Yeah, he's like a lunch pail guy, son of a coach, and asks really good questions. You definitely notice that, and he's just a guy that comes to work every day and willing to do whatever it takes really to to make this team and make an impact. So he puts his head down every day and does what he has to do, and he's been doing a really good job, I think.
Matt talked about the challenge of playing 2 games in 5 days in the preseason, which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
How have you seen him kind of do this abbreviated week, and does it give you an indication of what it'll be like when you've got a Thursday night game?
Yeah, well, I think he's just paying attention to how guys' bodies are handling and, the reps and all that stuff. We're still in camp, so we're still trying to get that work in. But, it shows you that, he's managing guys in a smart way. And, he wants us to be fresh and play hard on this Thursday and for games. So he's gonna be mindful of that.
All right, that was the quick stylings of Cole Kmet there. He was real in and out on that one. I mean, interesting things about Cole Kmet coming into this season. You really want to see how he's going to be able to attack. I've told you guys, right? He is the Chicago Bears' biggest piece offensively, which is why I really wanted to see him in that first preseason game, getting those early reps. He is the Chicago Bears' biggest piece offensively to me. If you're going in a run-heavy style offense, why? You need that big body over the middle. You need that guy that you can drop things down into. You need that guy that you can throw that deep route coming across the middle and have that big body to go up. Your receivers are not that big. And the main guys, like I say, right, like Equanimeous St. Brown, I get that he's been ahead of everybody in practice and all of that. I don't have a ton of like, oh my God, this dude's going to be the next thing for the Chicago Bears. If you couldn't figure it out with Aaron Rodgers, I'm not too expectant that you're going to figure it out here with Justin Fields. So for me, right, like I'm looking at this as Cole Kmet has to be the biggest piece for the Chicago Bears coming into this season when you're talking about one of Justin's main targets on the offensive end, passing the ball. Again, one of the takeaways that and we'll talk about a little deeper, right? I'm going to get into my biggest takeaways from week 1 and week 2, or from week 1 of preseason heading into week 2. But one of the biggest things that I looked at was the Bears are running a run-heavy style offense. Like it's not Matt Nagy saying I'm going to run the ball and then never actually running the ball. No, the Chicago Bears are going to run a run-heavy style offense. And so that means that you're going to have a couple of, like I said, you're talking about 20 to 25 passes a game. Maybe you're talking about 6 or 7 of those are probably going to start from behind the line of scrimmage. Where do those other passes go? You're probably going to have a couple deep ones, the Darnell Mooney. Maybe Tajay Sharp keeps up what he's doing and is going to be able to get a couple of deep shots in there as well. But I think Cole Kmet has to be Justin Fields' biggest weapon this season. It's going to be the it's going to be the biggest key to the Chicago Bears taking a step offensively this season, is getting Cole Kmet worked in there and working. And even, right, you want to see him in the blocking scheme. The one thing I did like from Saturday's game, is so weird to say Saturday, from Saturday's game, is that you saw him do well in the blocking scheme. You saw him, or you saw the Bears do well with their blocking scheme, especially on the run blocking, right? The pass pro need a little work, and we'll get into talking about, kind of what Tevin Jenkins could bring to this offense. The Bears feel good about his skill set from everything we've heard. It was just a growth issue, but now, kind of like all of that's died down. I don't know what that is. KO Sports Talk says Equinemius St. Brown never got an opportunity to display his talents in Green Bay. Aaron was throwing him the ball. He kept dropping it. And if you keep dropping it, Aaron's going to throw it to you less and less and less and less and less and less. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get too many drops with Aaron Rodgers out here where he's just going to be like, nah, it's fine. Let's keep it going. I think the big thing for me, right, and one of my bigger takeaways that I took from that first game of the preseason heading into this next game, as I watched some of the All-22 tape on Justin Fields, is that I think you have a good start of an offensive line being built here. I think you have some good pieces in place here. When you go back and you look at Braxton Jones' tape, I mean, maybe you can find 1 or 2. I wouldn't even say 2. Legitimately, I can find 1 rep where I was like, he got dominated. I can find 1 rep in that entire thing where I was like, no, he got dominated on that one. That's tough. Now, can we plug in Tevin? Now, when Lucas Patrick is there, how does that look? Is Cody Whitehair? Cody Whitehair got beat a couple of times too. Is Cody Whitehair going to be able to kind of pick his game back up and get back to where he was at guard? Remember, he's been playing center for us for a long time here, so he's trying to kind of figure out where he's at positionally again. And then is Tevin Jenkins the answer right there? But I feel like you've got the buildings of a really good foundation on that offensive line. A lot of young pieces there, a lot of pieces that are new in this position, right? Lucas Patrick didn't play a ton of center. He did play center in Green Bay, but didn't play a ton of center in Green Bay. And then, you've got Tevin Jenkins, who has been a tackle his entire life, and now they're trying him out at guard, right? Because they feel like he might be better there. Saw him getting some run with the ones at guard. Maybe he will end up being the swing tackle there. But you know what? Like, I like that that's a situation that the Bears seem to have worked through. I like that that's a situation that the Bears seem to have at least figured out. And now we're starting to get him some play. And now he's getting a full set of run coming into the season, right? I think that those are things that you have to look at and you have to feel good about with your team, especially if Ryan Poles went out and he got you a day 1 starting left tackle in the 5th round. You got to love that. I think that that's huge. The other thing that really stands out to me as far as a takeaway from the the first preseason game is I have to. I mean, listen, I get it, right? And here's the thing you got to take away. Vanilla offenses, vanilla defenses. That includes the Chicago Bears. There were a lot of people complaining about the Bears passing scheme and passing style. And they're not running nothing. They're running simple stuff to try and see if Justin can beat guys in man-to-man. But here's the one thing that I will say. From a day one perspective, it really looks like Ryan Poles has a good eye for talent. It really looks like, that was my one fear about losing Pace, and there weren't many at all. It's literally my one fear. Ryan Pace was really good at drafting late round talent. He was terrible drafting early talent, but he was really good at drafting late round talent. And I didn't know if we were still going to be able to have that in the building with Ryan Pace gone. Most guys kind of hit on the big picks, stuff like that. They can find guys here and there throughout the draft, but they don't end up being consistent. But at a minimum, right, looking at where these guys are right now, it feels like Ryan Poles, even when you look at Dominique Robinson, when you look at some of the guys that didn't get as much run, right, Jack Sanborn, those are guys that I looked at and I was like, wow, like that was a really, I didn't even know who that was before this game started today. That was a really good pickup. So it feels like to me, Ryan Poles has a really good eye for talent here, and that he's kind of just trying to build this thing out with a very young team that's going to be able to grow with Justin Fields. And I feel like that leaves me feeling good about this Chicago Bears team. It really does. Mustafa in the chat. Shout out to you guys all in the chat, man. Also, if you guys are listening on the podcast side of things, shout out to you for listening later. We do have the podcast up on all DSPs. We will be posting Bears post game. We will be posting Bulls post games. We will be posting our daily show on the podcast side as well. So if you aren't subscribed to the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And Baki dropping some breaking news in here. Bears are concerned that rookie center Doug Kramer has a Lindsfrack injury, which is a season-ending injury if so. Where'd you see that, Baki? I didn't see that one yet. Now, listen, my Twitter. Baki is the ultimate Twitter scourer, bro. He's got to have mugs. Everybody on notification. Because Baki be getting notifications that I don't get, and I have quite a few people on notification. So shout out to Baki. That's big news if that is what that if that's serious. You know what I mean? Like that could be. That's a hit to your depth, right? He's a rookie center. You weren't expecting a ton from him early on, but it's a hit to your depth on that offensive line. You want to have more depth on that offensive line than not. And I think that's a strength of the Bears here, right? Like there's a lot of and there it is in the Discord. Shout out to Baki. Is that Baki? Oh no, Rappaport just tweeted it. Wait, hold on. Okay, no, that's a whole different thing. Don't worry about it. Here's the thing that I can say about the Bears coming into this season, right? Even with all the Tevin Jenkins noise, even with all of the, where's this offensive line going to be? And as soon as I want to make a point, we're going back out to the press conference. Dang it. It's all good. Oh, my bad. Hold on.
Yeah, it's, I feel very blessed to be in the situation I am, but at the same time, I try and help all the guys that come in and, with anything I can, whether that be in the film room, whether that be on the field, whether that be, individual drills, working our techniques and stuff. So, like I said, I'm very blessed, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to help our team win.
When is a guy like Tevin who hasn't played much, what can you do to help him?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just moving inside from guard to tackle, or from tackle to guard, is everything happens a little bit faster in there, I guess, if you will. So just helping him play with his hands and, get his footwork down and stuff like that, which, comes in individual and stuff like that. But also helping him, learn tips and stuff on what to look for inside guys, his stances, and how to get that edge over those guys as well.
Jenkins was saying yesterday that in this system, the guards are challenged mentally more. And ways would you describe some of the things you have to be aware of?
I feel like there's just a lot more, getting to the second level, making sure that you're on the same page with, protection calls and stuff like that. So, I feel like the other systems I was in, you didn't quite have to use your eyes as much at guard, I guess, if you will, but there's a lot of responsibility that your eyes have to be right as far as getting to the second level and seeing different blitzes.
You've said it, and a number of the guys on the O-line have talked about how they like running in this offense. Why is it that an offensive lineman likes running?
I think because, the best thing is, getting to the second level, because as we know, that you secure your first level and get to the second level, that's when the big plays happen, right? So I think the biggest thing for us is making sure we take the right angle to the second level and sustaining our blocks there so we can create big plays.
What's your takeaway on the 18 snaps you guys got on Saturday, just in terms of the run game efficiency and where you'd like to see it go?
Yeah, I mean, that was just a start for us. Obviously, we've been going against our guys for 3 weeks, and it was nice to go against somebody else to see where we're at. Obviously, we looked at the tape. We saw things that we weren't the happiest about. We saw what we need to do to correct them, and now it's our job to correct those mistakes and get ready for Thursday.
Cody, what have you thought of the way that Tevin Jenkins has handled this? His attitude when he gets drafted here to be the left tackle for the next 10 years, then they move him over to right, now they're moving him inside.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough what he's had to go through. I think he's done a good job of staying the course and just, trying to find ways to help this team. It's never easy to have to move different positions, but I think he's handled it well and, happy where he's at.
The coaches have mentioned a few times how intelligent he is. And Getz, mentioned yesterday to Dan's question about the challenges inside a guard, just what you have to know mentally. In what ways do you see that from Tevin, where that comes out as a team is?
I guess you see the way he studies. The way he answers questions is very detailed. When a coach asks him a question, he answers it to the most detailed version that he can answer. And I think it speaks to him athletically too. He's a big guy. And like I talked about, it's the guards' responsibility to obviously secure the first level, but then, sustain a block at the second levels. And, he's athletic enough to do that. So I think that's a tribute to him.
So do linemen, do they want to be thought of like baseball umpires? Like, if you know their name out in the public, it means they're doing something wrong. and if so, when Kevin gets the kind of attention that he got in the last week, is that something that kind of as an offensive line you guys aren't particularly comfortable with?
I mean, obviously you don't want to hear your name in any bad situation, but I think Tevin's done a good job of just trying to come in every day and focus and try and do the best he can, and that's all he's doing.
There's obviously a premium on continuity once the bell rings for an offensive line, but in training camp, it seems like, at least the last couple, you're always changing, interchanging, trying to find the right combination. Do you ever, in your career, have you ever had trepidation about, like, hey, is this going to come together, or is it just natural to think, even with all these changes here, you might have a new starting right guard in week 1 today, and that it's going to work out?
Yeah, I mean, it always, throughout training camp, I think the biggest thing about training camp is you're trying to find the best 5 guys so that when week 1 does hit, you're ready to roll with those best 5 guys. And like you said, it happens naturally. It really does. And then, really all you need is, a week to get ready. And, by week 1, we'll have that and we'll have continuity and we'll be ready to roll for sure.
Cody, you've had a front row seat for Braxton Jones' development since he's been here. What have you seen from him since day 1 that gives you comfort? Hey, the guy next to me is knowing what he's doing and he's capable.
Yeah, Braxton is going to be a good player. The way he studies, the way he understands stuff, he's very athletic. He's got great length. He uses his hands well. So I really like where Braxton's at right now. He's only going to continue to grow, and I'm really excited to see that growth.
Cody, you said that with such conviction, and obviously this kid was a day 3 pick from Southern Utah. What strikes you about how quickly he's earned the confidence of somebody like you who's been in the league for 7-8 years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a young player, so he's still learning. But I guess the way he cares, the way he the way he works, you can tell the kid really wants to be a good player. And that's all you can ask for as a guy that's an older guy in this league. You want somebody to put in the work, who cares, and is going to help the team grow. And that's what he's done. And like I said, I'm really excited to see where he goes.
Are you surprised by that? I mean, that's rare for a rookie fifth rounder to have those attributes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But, I think our department did a really good job of finding him. They knew what they were looking for, and, I think they found a good one in him.
A bit of a rarity here in terms of being a drafted Bear who got a second contract. When you reflect back on the period where it was time to talk about that, what were the most stressful parts personally, right? I think a lot of people don't think about what that's like for a player to go through those.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely ups and downs when negotiations are going through. But I guess my biggest thing was I was going to focus on, doing the right things on the field, and all that other stuff will take care of itself. But, I mean, it is stressful. I mean, your personal life, all this other stuff, talking to your agents, this and this. But I think at the end of the day, if you focus on the field, all the other stuff will take care of itself. Thanks, guys.
Little Cody Whitehair action in there. Not mad at that. Good to hear from him. Again, high praise for Braxton Jones. We've heard that multiple times from multiple people, and just based on what you can see on the field, it really seems like a guy that's going to be a great pick for the Chicago Bears there. Listen, that gets me excited, right? Like, it took Ryan Pace 4 years to figure out, hey, I should draft an offensive lineman, and then he went and got a guard. And didn't protect his second pick in the draft quarterback. It took Ryan Poles 1 day to go, we got to find a left tackle, and seemingly find one. So I think those are things that you really key in on, that you're really excited about. Kind of going back to what Baki was talking about, and the Bears did make a signing. And let me see if I can pull this up here on the screen. Hold on. That wasn't it. Hold up. All right, I ain't gonna worry about it. I'll read y'all the tweet. Oh no, not that one. Let's delete that. Let's delete the right thing here. What is going on? Bow, there we go, I think, and gone. Okay. So, per Brad Biggs, as tweeted to me by Baki, shout out to Baki in the chat, Bears are concerned rookie center Doug Kramer suffered a Liz Frank injury. If so, it would almost certainly be season ending. Now, not season ending. Now the question is, what is a Liz Frank injury? Liz Frank joint injury is a type of injury to the bones or ligaments or both in the middle part of your foot. In a Liz Frank joint injury, there's usually damage to the cartilage covering the bones in the middle region of your foot. A cluster of small bones form an arch. Now, the recovery time for that is usually about 6 months to a year on that type of injury. Now, of course, with a entirely new thing, right? With an entirely new with a football staff behind you, right? It might be a little bit quicker than that, but the Bears did end up signing Corey Dublin today, backup center. Again, I think that could be kind of the writing on the wall there, that they're not expecting Doug Kramer back anytime soon. And so for me, right, like I look at it and I say, hey, that's a tough loss, but again, the point that I was going to make, that you have to be excited about with this Chicago Bears team. How many people in here feel good about the 5 guys that we have up front right now? I feel good about Lucas Patrick. I feel good about Cody Whitehair. I feel really good about Braxton Jones, right? Of course, a rookie, he's going to have a learning curve. There's going to be some things that he struggles with this season, but I do feel good about him protecting Justin for the long run. I think you did a lot of good there getting Michael Schofield in the building. I think you did a lot of good there getting Riley Reif in the building. I think you did a lot of good there getting Tevin Jenkins back kind of in the program here. Now you've got Tevin Jenkins there. I think you did some good by getting Larry Borum worked in there. Yeah, I mean, like, we're talking about 7 to 8 guys on this offensive line that at a minimum you view and you say that's a decent player. at a minimum, you look at it and you say he's a decent player. He's a competent player at this position. Now, of course, Tevin Jenkins, still a huge question mark, but the Bears seem to feel really good about him. Talent-wise, anyway. Don't know about anything else, but at least talent-wise, the Chicago Bears seem to feel really good about him. And then on the flip side of that, right, like, Larry Bourne's somebody that we viewed and said, well, like legitimately, if Braxton Jones wasn't there, I would feel okay if Larry Bourne was our left guard or our left tackle. I would feel like he's going to be a competent left tackle. I would feel okay if Larry Bourne was our left tackle. So when you look at those pieces, right, you have to feel a little bit better about your offensive line, honestly. I mean, you have to feel like Ryan Poles did a good job putting this thing together. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people wanted receivers. You wanted that big body that Justin could throw it up there to and go get. You wanted these guys that he could drop back and just more weapons, get him as many weapons as possible. He can't get at the weapons if he's on his back. And I think when you're talking about, right, the development of a quarterback, and this is the one thing that I noticed when I looked at his all-22. By the way, I do want to get for the members in the channel, want to get kind of a little members only, you dig, where we break down the all-22 film, working on some of that stuff. As y'all can see, it's a lot of solo stuff here. Your boy's tired. So I got a lot going on all together. So we're going to try and work through that and figure all that out. But Justin has a somewhat play clock in his head, and you notice it when you go back and you watch the plays that he played in, when you watch the snaps where he drops back in, right? When he drops back, I want to say the one where he slides and takes the shot, vacated the pocket a little bit quick, but it's because you start to see the pocket kind of move. There wasn't much, it wasn't a great pocket there, but there was still enough of it where if he takes a little step to the side, he's able to make that throw. But that clock is still quick in his head, and you can tell that. That clock is still, hey, that's Myles Garrett coming off the edge looking to take my head off. With a better offensive line, right, you're able to readjust that clock. With a better offensive line, you're able to kind of shift that so that the quarterback's able to stay in the pocket a little bit longer, be more comfortable in the pocket a little bit longer, right? And I think that that's going to be a key to the development of Justin Fields, kind of letting him know, listen, you don't have a ton of time, but you also don't have to rush it. You have to find kind of that sweet spot, and that just comes from figuring out what your offensive line is. But you have to have an offensive line in the first place for you to be able to figure out what that offensive line is. So I think that was a major takeaway for me for what the Chicago Bears were doing on the offensive line side of things. I feel like that was a big part of especially, right, like even watching as the line continued throughout the day with the seconds and the thirds, right? Now, Tevin Jenkins, rightfully so, was getting cooked. When I tweeted out Tevin Jenkins is getting cooked, I mean, he was getting cooked, but he did end up kind of fighting his way back in it, did make I want to say 4 nice blocks in a row. There was some where I think he was the only one that actually won his rep, right? So I think those are things that you got to play into it. I can attack a guy, but I also have to be fair to what their game is, right? So I think that if you feel that Tevin is that best player, best case scenario at that right guard position, then you put him out there. And I like that we're seeing him get some work in there. I do feel good about this offensive line. I like that they went out. I don't know much about, what's his name? Corey Dublin. I don't know much about him. I can't say that he's this great center or anything. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't know much about him. But I do know he's a big body. I think he's like 6'4", 300 pounds, something like that. So somebody that can come in, be that backup position, has a little bit of experience. So those are things that you, I guess, look at and say that that's a step in the right direction. Dropped the video on the whole Roquan situation today as well. And I want to hear you guys' thoughts on it, right? Like the one thing that I love about going live on this channel, especially during the press conferences and stuff like that, is I get to hear you guys' thoughts. I get to talk with you guys. With the Roquan situation where it is right now, and they didn't talk about whether they're fining him or not. They said they're going to keep all of that in-house. But I dropped the video specifically talking about it. Do you feel like it's time for the Chicago Bears to start levying serious fines against Roquan Smith? And make sure you guys check out that video, right? I kind of hit it real quick and get into some different points on that. But I'm looking at this situation, and I feel like now, when you looked at what you had on the field And this is a takeaway from that preseason game. When you looked at what you had on the field, where were they attacking us most? Until Jack Sanborn got in there, by the way. But where were they really attacking us? They were picking apart that middle. They were picking that middle apart. And so how does this relate to the fines? To me, you have to make a decision on Roquan. You have to make a decision on Roquan because I don't think you're going to be able to get better at that position or at least move forward at that position if that's still hanging over your head. I looked at that game and I was just like, wow, like I don't know if we're going to be able to stop anything over the middle of the season. I mean, I get it, right? It's Pat Mahomes. It's a lot different if it's Daniel Jones going up against you. It's a lot different if it's not Tua Tagovailoa going up against you, right? It's a lot different if it's Marcus Mariota going up against you. And so it may look a little bit better. You may have time to do it. But I feel like you have to make this decision before you get to this next game because this is now the time where you're going to start to see the guys that are going to be on the field making plays. Game 2, now remember, there's only 3 preseason games here. Game 2 is now where you're going to look at the guys that are on the field and say, okay, I like that. I like him. I like him. He's not going to make it. I really want him on the field. I want to have him out here. I want to have him out here. This is where you start to make your decisions as a head coach. You're not going to see these guys much in game 3. You might see them for a rep. If there's some, I'll say this. You might see the offensive line just because if you're trying to build up this rapport and get reps in with these guys, right, you want to see those best 5 get together and you want to see those best 5 work together. But when I'm looking at this game coming up, going to Seattle, and Roquan is traveling with the team, which I thought was interesting, right? That was something that I didn't see in, or that I thought was a really interesting tidbit from Ryan. Nope, wrong one. From Matt Eberflus, is that Roquan's still with the team. Roquan's still on the sidelines for games. Roquan's still on the sidelines for practices here. So you're telling me now that he's a part of everything, but he's not contributing. You have to make a decision. I say in my video, I think the thing that you have to do, I want to see Ryan Poles. Hey, listen, Roquan, you got to find an agent. You've got to find an agent so we can hammer this thing out. Because what you're doing right now as far as around the league, which is wild with the whole situation, right? Where he's got like the African dude that's cracking cards, breaking or calling teams out here, right? What's Buddy's name? What was Buddy's name that's calling around to teams around the NFL trying to ask what is Roquan Smith's value to a team? That mess had me cracking up. I was like, what's his name? Like, Mbuku? Do you have the dude from Black Panther right now calling around to teams, asking them about your trade value? Is that what we're seeing right here? By the way, 145 in the building, man. 38 likes. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bears daily on this channel. Only channel talks Chicago Bears, how Chicago talks. We also talk Bulls. We might get into some White Sox. We will be live streaming the WNBA playoffs this week as well. Saint Omni. There it is. Bro, tell me that doesn't sound like he threw that in a name generator, and it's Roquan calling with the voice changer on, right? Like Roquan, it's Roquan just on the phone, just hello. I am calling to try and gauge the interest of Roquan Smith. Hey, we back at the podium, man. Hold on. Shout out to y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, bro.
I played well. I think the thing with Jaquan, I think you saw is just as the game went on, his confidence grew, right? And I think that's an awesome thing to see. You see that young guys a lot. Like they have the talent, but sometimes things start to move a little bit differently than they were in practice. Right, it's a different offense, not what we've been seeing in training camp. So you saw his confidence grow and his playmaking came out. So I thought that was good.
What was feeling from like a trust factor with him, a rookie playing behind you, your back's to him? Just does it seem like you can trust him already that he's going to be in the right spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a good grasp of what we're doing defensively. And there's some things, I mean, honestly, if I'm being real with you, there's some things we did to really get him going. Like some of the blitzes that we were doing was really to get the safety into the game and into the run fit. So, yeah, there's definitely a trust factor there. I think he's done a good job of everything they asked him to do, and he's playing well. He's playing fast. Yeah.
What is the real actual impact of the Roquan situation on the team, on the defense? It's been a few weeks now, and, he should be there. You want him there, and, there's discord there. He's a good player. What's the real impact from your position?
Yeah. As far as like the entire team, I can't speak for them. I'll speak for myself, right? For me, I think he's in the building. He's been in the meetings. He's been attentive in the meetings. We've talked about ball, and whenever he gets out there, he'll get out there. As far as what's going on contractually, I don't know anything about it honestly, so I can't really talk about it. But as far as him in the building, he's in the building. He's part of the locker room, and that's the capacity of it right now.
With rookies, you always know they're eventually going to be there. It's just kind of a right almost. But with him, it's a little different. Are you concerned that he might not be there at all? I mean, how certain are you that you're going to have him?
One thing I learned about this league, there is no certainty. I have no certainty. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I wish the best for the Bears and obviously him, and I hope he's here. But if he's not, I mean, that is what it is. If he is, great. That's all I can say on that end.
Was he one of the reasons you wanted to come?
No. I think the biggest reason I want to come here is one, opportunity, and I've been following Coach Eberflus for a while. I enjoy the scheme and wanted to be a part of it.
Nick, the Chiefs obviously
Bro, I got to get me one of these hats.
What was the feeling like amongst the defense on the field as you guys are trying to stop that drive, and then what were the conversations like on the sideline thereafter?
We had, opportunities are there. I can't sit here and he's had practice. So I can't sit here and think about the game completely, but I know there's a couple of times we had him in 3rd and long, like 3rd and 8, scramble drill, was able to get one in on us. 3rd and was short, was able to get like a fullback dive in there. So there was a couple of times we had him. I think we just got to clean up our communication on 3rd down. We got to win our one-on-ones when we can. We just got to be more efficient in the red zone as well. So those are some things that we can clean up, and we go from there. And as far as communication on the sideline, just talking about those plays and just figuring out a way to, play them better, honestly.
One more question about Roquan real quick. Like last week when he puts out that statement or, the next day he comes off PUP, like just as a friend of his, are you, or teammate, are you guys talking about that stuff, or is it something where it's just like kind of awkward and it's off something you don't talk about?
Nah, it's not awkward, bro. He's a people person, so no, it's pretty standard as far as every day talking in the locker room.
So you do talk about it with him?
No, I don't talk about him because I don't know anything about it. To be honest with you, so no.
How happy were you guys in the linebacker room for Jack Sanborn on Saturday?
Oh, extremely, man. First off, he's Lake Zurich's own. We talk about that all the time, but he had a great game. You see him in the passing game for sure, like with obviously the pick, but also the deflection he had on the sideline. And then even some of the other drops that he had, he was able to make a couple plays in open space. So it's a really good thing to see. And you see his, like I said, once again with young guys, you kind of just see their confidence grow as the game goes on. That's exciting to see because the game of football, when you get to this level, it's, who knows the most. And I think they all kind of understand the scheme. The scheme's pretty simple. But then it's just going out there and understand, like, I can do this, I can play these plays, I've done it before, it's just ball. And then you kind of see their confidence grow and they start to make plays and then they stack on that. So I thought he did a good job of stacking on it for sure.
Carry over like into the week?
Oh, in practice?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I think the ones did most of the practice today, so it's kind of hard to see on that standpoint. But yeah, his confidence is definitely still there. We'll see when it comes on Thursday.
Nick, sometimes in training camp, maybe often, the progress seems so incremental, it's almost hard to discern from the outside. What do you see from the inside? Do you see it coming together, from your linebacker's vantage point, that relative to other years you've been in the league, do you see this defense coming together? Anything you can point to that indicates that?
Yeah, I think it's coming together. I think one thing you see is like, I'll just say this, with Gates, right? He'd only been here for a couple of days. I don't know how long it's been. and you go out there and you see them plug and play and able to make plays, stay within the confines of the scheme. You didn't have any mental errors. And so you see that that's kind of going towards doing the same thing over and over again, staying with your fundamentals and sticking to the philosophy of the defense. And so that's kind of encouraging, right? You see guys, can come in, plug and play, and then able to have success because they believe into the scheme.
Is that the way the defense is designed or built, or is it the way it's coached, or what?
Oh, it's all of it, right? So it's obviously the scheme is simple, so that's the defense. But then obviously the coaching, right? Because Coach Gonzo and Ronell Williams have done a good job. They get in there early with those guys and work with them, whether that's a film session or a walkthrough on the grass or whatever it may be, so that they're up to speed and they know what's going on. And then you get them in there, obviously in practice, and then sometimes even after practice they'll go over stuff. So I think it's all encompassing, the scheme, coaching, even sometimes maybe even the players, maybe working with them and stuff like that. And then them themselves, the work that they're putting in.
Nick, with the game that he had on Saturday, it looks like Trent Gill may be a real weapon for you guys defensively.
Yeah.
What does it do for you guys when you come out on the field and you got the offense backed up inside the 5, inside the 10? What's that do for you, and what's the responsibility to kind of keep them there, not let them get 2, 3, 4 first downs?
You said it, keep them backed up. That's the philosophy. So whenever you get a punter that can, and a punt team unit as well, right? Because you got the gunners that can force those fair catches too. But whenever you get a punter that can back guys up, I mean, now you got them in the within their 10-yard line. That play call gets a little smaller. So now you're only defending a couple of plays. That definitely does well for the defense. And then you can also, if you want to, I don't necessarily know the backed up game plan right now, but if you want to, you can be aggressive with maybe a blitz or two or whatever you have in the game plan. Yeah.
About 2 more. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
That was Nicholas Morrow from the Bears, and that's pretty much the end of the press conference. They dropped the thank you for watching. So something I want to do when we get here, right, when we get to the end of these press conferences, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear the questions from you guys. I want to hear what you guys are thinking about these press conferences as well. Drop some questions in the chat. If you haven't done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bears daily. We won't be live tomorrow because the Bears won't be having any press conferences there. But just let me know kind of how you guys are feeling about where this team is at. What are you guys' biggest takeaways from the Chicago Bears this season? Or this preseason, I should say. I think as we're heading into this week 2 of preseason, the thing that I want to see most heading into this second game, which really for the starters, right, is your final game. You might get a little bit of run, but for the most part, right, it's your final game. The thing that I want to see most is how does Justin use the other weapons that we didn't get to see in that first game, right? Like Tajay Sharp's nice. Darnell Mooney, we know he's going to use him a ton. But how are they going to use Cole Kmet? How are they going to use Velus Jones? How are they going to use, right? Like we saw that little end around, I think it was, with Equinemius St. Brown. Is that kind of the use that you're going to see? How does Justin use these other weapons? That's the thing that I really want to see. And again, can this offensive line build off of what they did in the week 1? Those are the two things that really stand out to me for this team. On the defensive side, I think I told you guys, the defense is going to be able to create pressure. What did we see all last week? Now, again, right, even go back and rewatch that first drive with Pat Mahomes. Did Pat Mahomes carve us up? Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Pat Mahomes, boom, 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 touchdown. But a lot of players spending time in his backfield, a lot of players spending time in his grill, a lot of players spending time in his face. He just made plays. Just really good at making plays. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You got to get home. You got to be quicker. But I'll tell you what, this defensive line at a minimum is in the backfield. Kenny Ray says, scale of 1 to 10, how much faith do you have in Coach E? You know what? I'm going to go with a 6 for you, Kenny Ray. And here's the reason why. When the players are done, the scheme has to still be called. When the players are done, the scheme still has to be called. And what I mean by that is in preseason, right, what do we get? 18 reps, 20 reps of Justin Fields in the starting unit. But that doesn't mean that you have to stop calling what's happening on the field. That doesn't mean that your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator don't keep calling plays against one of the best offensive minds in football in Andy Reid in that first game. I feel like the Bears have a scheme that fits the team that they're looking to build and that they have built. I feel like the Bears have a scheme offensively and defensively that puts them in a position to at least be in the realm of making a play. Now the question is, will the talent live up to that that you've chosen this season? And I think that's the biggest question that goes down to it. But scheme-wise, as far as like seeing going forward with Coach Flus and Coach Getsy and Coach Williams, right? Like I feel like they're moving in the right direction on that. What else we got? Baki says, what I'm looking forward to seeing is how Braxton Jones responds and improves from his first preseason game. Yeah, that's big. That's going to be big, right? Like I said, he only lost 1 rep, and now, people are really going to be saying, okay, like, now we want to make sure, we want to see why Mugs are talking about you. We want to see why Mugs are hyping you up, right? We want to break your spirit coming into the season. So they're going to really be going at him. That left side is Justin's most important side because it's the side that he's not facing. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what they do there. I think the one thing that I'm looking forward to in this second preseason game is seeing how this team responds off of having some success, right? Like there's teams that have success and then they take that success into the next week and it's, oh man, we did this and we did that and we made this play and we made that play, and it doesn't mean a hill of beans when you get to the next week. The guys that surprised me, right? I dropped the video talking about my biggest surprises. Jack Sanborn. How do you respond after having a heck of a week? And he's still not running with the ones. You heard kind of Nicholas Morrow talk about that at the end of his when they were talking about Jack Sanborn in there, right? Like he didn't see him as much because he wasn't running with the ones. So they still have him kind of at this level and not really here. Not that guy that you want to put at that number 1 spot just yet. So there's still some development to go. There's still a ways to go. But I want to see how he responds. I want to see how, like you said, Braxton Jones responds. I want to see how Dominique Robinson responds. I want to see how Treston Ebner responds, right? The guys that had success in their first game, Jaquan Brisker, the guys that made plays in their first game, how do you respond after having success in your first game? Because the Rooks looked good. The Rooks looked like they knew what was going on the field. Kenny Ray says he wants to see if Kyler Gordon can show out in his hometown. That's one thing, again, right? Like that was something that I felt like I was a little let down that we didn't get in week 1. I really wanted to see Kyler Gordon out there. I wanted to see what he was going to be able to do opposite Jalen Johnson. Now, again, right, like when we're going into this next game, if we see the again, right, like if we see Jaquan Brisker do what he does and Kyler Gordon's able to kind of replicate some of what we're seeing from Jalen Johnson on the other side, your defense might be 3/4 fixed in one offseason. That's crazy to say. But your defense might be 3/4 fixed in one offseason. Now, do you still need linebacker depth? Absolutely. Still need a little more depth on that defensive line? Absolutely. But you're talking about cornerstone pieces for a while. So that excites me for sure. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, that's the one thing that I've said, right? Like, while I would love to have Roquan Smith on this team, by no means am I worried about the Chicago Bears building a defense. While I would love to have Roquan Smith be a member of the Chicago Bears, hear me clearly on this. By no means am I worried about the Chicago Bears going out and finding Roquan Smith's replacement. There's only a certain amount of players that have done this in the NFL. And then I keep getting that tweet. Oh, Pat, you're so nonchalant on this. Roquan Smith is in a company with Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher and Mike Ditka. Well, not Mike Ditka. He wasn't a linebacker. But Dick Butkus, and that's it. I agree with you. but 2 of the 3 guys you named were Chicago Bears. I'm not worried about the Bears finding another linebacker. So for me, I'm looking at this whole situation as, hey, did we find out that we got another DB? Is Dominique Robinson something on the defensive line? Is he going to be opposite of Travis Gibson coming up if we don't re-up on Roquan or on Robert Quinn? Oh, is Jaquan Brisker going to be a potential DPOY, rookie DPOY candidate? You're making moves to fix your team, and it's not the pretty moves. It's not the big moves. It's not the exciting moves, but it's moves that move your team in the right direction. I can see it. Who do we got? What else we got in the comments, man? Shout out to you guys for commenting in. If you guys haven't done so, hit that like button, man. Subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bears daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Bears, how Bears talk. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hey, Baki says, let's shout out Coach T, because he's talked about Tevin Jenkins getting a chance at guard for a while. Yeah, big shout out to Coach T, man. I love Coach T's show. I love what Coach T's been doing over on his channel, man. Check out Chicago Bears 360. I've learned a lot just from a coaching standpoint on there. Yeah, I mean, so I love it, man. I love it. I love what he's doing over there. Man, I mean, we got a lot of content coming you guys' way today. I probably won't drop as much today or over the next week, just because my dad legit just had back surgery yesterday, which is why I wasn't live yesterday for the press conference. So I'm finna run up to the hospital and check on Pops for a little minute, and then run back here, probably record something, drop a video. We will be live tomorrow. Actually, I was wrong. I said I won't be live. I'll probably be live tomorrow around 2 p.m. Because the Chicago Bulls are going to be dropping their schedule. So make sure you guys tune in with us on that. Also, make sure that if you got it here late, you want to hear the what's the word I'm looking for? You want to hear what was said, interviews and stuff like that. Make sure you guys check out the podcast platform. We're going to have that up in a little bit after this. So shout out to you guys for tuning in and showing love. Appreciate you guys sending the prayers for Pop. Shout out to Bob Chimney sending the prayers for my Pops, man. Appreciate that. Pops is doing well. He's out of surgery. Everything's going good. He's feeling a lot better. So that was a big thing for him yesterday. So go check him out. Make sure you check out all our content on the page. Got a Roquan Smith video up right now on the channel, so check that out as well. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bears content. Click the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.